we're going to take a look at the second half of this lesson. Example 4 says the circles are identical. What's the area of each circle? Alright, so if the circles are identical, that means that each part of the circle is identical to the same part in the other circle. For example, the area of the green circle is equal to the area of the purple circle. What are some other pieces of the circle that you see? I see that the green circle has a radius. A radius on the green circle is going to be equal to the radius on the purple circle. But what I notice is, while they gave me a radius right here, this is the radius. On the purple circle, they actually gave me a diameter. This is the diameter. If I want to get a radius and I have a diameter, radius is half of a diameter, which means the radius of this circle is half of 4x, which is 2x. And then the radius for this one is x plus 2. So now that I know the radius of one is equal to the radius of the other one, I'm going to fill in what I just found out on the right here. The radius of the green is x plus 2. The radius of the purple is 2x. And now I have an equation that I can solve. So I'm going to move my x's over here to the right side. And I'm left with 2 equals, remember this is 1x. So 2 minus 1 is 1x, or just x equals 2. But the question is, what is the area of each circle? I found x. That does not represent the area. If you want to find the area of a circle, the area of any circle can be found by using the equation area equals pi times r squared, r being the radius. Well, we said over here that this is the radius here, and this is the radius here. Now that I know x, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take x and either plug it into here or plug it into here to get the radius. Should I get the same answer both times, or should I get different answers? I should get the same answer either way, because we said the radius equals the radius. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it into x plus 2. So if x is 2, well then x plus 2 equals 4. And you can see that if we would have used this one, 2 times x, x was 2, 2 times 2 is also 4. So we know our radius is 4. I'm going to jump back over to here. Area equals pi, the radius is 4 squared. 4 squared is 16. I do the exponent first. Now I do the multiplication. Going forward, you do not need to use the pi button on your calculator and leave this as a decimal. You're going to actually write it just like this. That's it. That's going to be your answer, 16 pi. Okay? Because that's an exact answer. If you use the pi button, it's rounding, and it's a really long decimal. So 16 pi is your answer. Okay, let's look at another one. Example 5 says a boat travels X miles per hour upstream on the Mississippi. On the return trip, the boat travels 2 miles per hour faster. How far does the boat travel upstream? Alright, so there's a lot of information here, and you'll notice that there's also a graphic over here. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pull out the information from the sentences and pull out the information from the graphic and put it all in the same place. So I know that the boat is going 2 ways. It's going upstream it's going downstream, and in the problem, it's called the return trip. So I'll just write it as return. And let's read the problem again and see what we can pull out. A boat travels X miles per hour upstream. I'm going to stop right there. This is going to go here, X miles per hour. Okay. On the return trip, the boat travels 2 miles per hour faster. So not 2 miles per hour, 2 miles per hour faster than the upstream. Well, think about it. If the upstream were like 10, and the return is 2 faster than 10, what is 2 miles per hour faster than 10 miles per hour? That would give you 12, right? Because 2 faster, you add the 2. Well, it's the same thing. If I'm already going X miles per hour and I want to go 2 miles per hour faster, I'm going X plus 2 miles per hour. Okay, that takes care of the words. Let's look at the graphic over here. It says that it's going to take 3 hours to go upstream. 3 hours. And it says that it's going to take 2.5 hours to go downstream or the return trip. Okay, so I pulled out all the information. The question's asking, how far does the boat travel upstream? Well, here's my question. I'm starting here. Chester, it looks like, actually. I'm going upstream. I'm stopping here, I guess, and then going back. What's the relationship between the blue distance and the green distance? They're the same, right? I'm starting and stopping, same places. They're the same distance. They're just taking different amounts of time because of the speed, okay? So the distances are the same. So just like in the previous problem when we set the radius equal to the radius, what we're going to do is set the distance of upstream equal to the distance of the return trip. So then the question arises, how do I get the distance? Why is all this information up here that we already found important? And here's what you need to know. There's a formula. Whenever you're dealing with distance and speed and such, that formula is the distance equals the rate that you're going, or the speed, times the time that you're doing it for. Okay, so let me say that one more time. The distance equals your rate or your speed multiplied by the time that you're doing it. Well, if I look back over here at my upstream, I don't know the distance. Do I know the rate? Kind of. I mean, it's an X, so I'm going to put that in. Do I know the time? I do. It's 3 hours. Let's look at my return trip. I don't know the distance. My rate, I can represent as X plus 2. And then how about the time? The time is 2.5. All right, so I have 2 separate equations, but what did we just say about distance? We said that the distance of one equals the distance of the other, which means, just like in the previous problem, I can set this equal to this. And that's what I'm going to do. So I've got 3x equals this. I'm just going to flip-flop it because I'm going to have to distribute, and it's easier if I have it in the opposite direction. It's up to you how you want to do it. Okay, let's go ahead and distribute. So that's 3x equals 2.5x. 2.5 times 2 is 5, so it looks like that. I'm going to move my x's over to the left side. Minus 2.5 is 0.5x. I still have a another piece of information. What does how far mean? Well, how far means the distance. So what I need to now do is take my 10, plug it into either one of these, because look, that will give me the distance. So I'm going to plug it into the one on the left because I think that's easier. So distance equals x times 3. I said that x is 10, so distance equals 10 times 3, and that's 30 miles. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is try these two on your own. Pause the video here while you do them, and then when you're done, unpause and check your work. Okay, so hopefully you've done them both. If we look at number 4, it says in example 4, the diameter of the purple circle is 3x. What's the area of each circle? So what they mean is this one is still the same, but this one is 3x, and the areas are still the same. So hopefully you did the same thing as before. The first thing we need to do is take this diameter, turn it into a radius. Radius is half of the diameter. That's half of 3, which is 1.5. Now I'm going to set the radii equal to each other. So I've got x plus 2 equals 1.5x. The radius of this one equals the radius of this one. I'm going to move my x over. This is 1, right? So I've got 2 equals 1.5 minus 1 is 0.5 x. You divide by 0.5. 2 divided by 0.5 is 4. And so if x equals 4, I have to find the area. Area is pi r squared. I need to find the radius. Let me jump back up here. I said the radius is either x plus 2 or 1.5x. I'm going to use the x plus 2. So if I put this into x plus 2, I get 6, which means the area of the circle is 6 squared times pi, or 36 pi. Okay, on this last one, a boat travels x miles per hour from one island to another island in 2.5 hours. I'm going to stop there. So x miles per hour. 2.5 hours. The boat travels 5 miles per hour faster, x plus 5, on the return trip, and it takes 2 hours. What's the distance? All right, distance equals rate times time. So, rate times time equals same distance, right? Rate times time. Let's go ahead and solve. 2.5x equals, let's distribute, 2x plus 10. 0.5x equals 10, which means x equals 20. Now I'm going to take my x, I'm going to pop it back in and get my distance. Distance is rate times time. Over here, I'm going to put it here. So the distance is the rate, which is 20, the time, which is 2.5. 20 times 2.5 is going to give me 50 miles. Okay, if you need to look back at anything, now's the time to do it. Make sure you have good notes, and we will practice this in class tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.